Today we are at Collins Pond. This is part of the Homer Lake Forest Preserve. I think this is the last major trail in the park. It's not very long, it's less than a mile, but I was in the area so I thought I'd check it out. So when the Forest Preserve District purchased this site in 1974, much of the area outside the mature woodland was in pasture. Through the decades, non-native and invasive shrubs like autumn olive in the open pasture and bush honeysuckle in the woodland began to dominate these areas. Now, these are fast-growing shrubs and they're low survival value to most wildlife, and they also impede recreation. In addition, their thick shade kills other plants because they shade out wildflowers and young native trees. They leave the forest floor barren except for the invasive shrubs. Since seedlings cannot survive in the dense shade and older trees will someday die out, eventually the forest would cease to exist unless action is taken. To that end, the Forest Preserve removed bush honeysuckle and autumn olive and thinned aggressive shade-tolerant maples and black cherry trees with chainsaws and forest machinery. Now, this began in 2010. Here we're walking along part of the wall that was built to form the side of the pond. The historical disturbance of fire was reintroduced to the site by performing prescribed burns regularly at the site, and these actions provided the proper conditions for good habitat, and native flora of the mature, diverse woodland benefited immediately. However, the former pasture areas and pond shoreline were more of a challenge to restore. Without diverse native flora remaining intact, these areas were more prone to invasion by problematic invasive species like reed canary grass and Canada thistle. Now, native plants were planted in the former pasture and along the shoreline in 2006 to 2014 in order to compete with these invasive plants and to provide quality habitat for wildlife, including pollinator species. The oak trees that were planted in 2006 continued to grow into the next generation of parent trees of woodland expansion. Native grasses and wildflowers were seeded under the trees in early 2015 and will offer good food and cover for wildlife as the planting matures over several years. So Collins Pond is a 33-acre site. It's named after a former Forest Preserve commissioner, and the 3-acre pond was constructed in the 1960s, and 2005 marked the start of intensive invasive brush removal efforts. Well, there is a trail right here that goes down. Looks like it runs down to the river. All right, that has been the Collins Pond Loop here at Homer Lake Forest Preserve. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week.